Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Peabody's Hot Topics, which is the 8th session of the Peabody's Hot Topics. Firstly, Happy New Year to everyone. And I hope you had a good one. I hope you had a good festive break, etc. And now coming back and rearing to go and hitting 2022. Forget COVID. Let's just go forward and be happy. So today's session is about human health and social care. We have got two amazing speakers today who are going to talk about mental health, human health and social care. But before we go into our session today, I just want to say we have questions and answers. Questions and answers will be saved to the end. We're going to listen to all of the speakers, and then, you know, I will come out and ask you all if you want to have any questions. Please unmute yourself and you'll be able to answer your questions directly. If not, please put your message in chat, and then I can read from the chat messages and send your questions out to the speakers that we have. So as I said, my name is Ian Tate, which I forgot to say that because I didn't say that earlier. But my name is Ian Tate. I run a company called Think Events London, and we're working very, very closely with Peabody, which is an amazing, amazing organisation that you all know, which is why you're here. It's a very, really relaxed, family-orientated kind of organisation, which we're really happy to be part of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to Nadia, who we work with in the background to put all of these sessions together, and we have quite a good time doing it, choosing the topics, kind of getting the speakers, but Nadia is amazing. So without further ado, let's put our hands together until they go bloody for Nadia.
Hi, Ian. Thank you so much for the intro. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you all virtually, and thank you so much for registering to attend today. So as Ian said, my name is Nadia, and I'm the Training and Development Officer at Peabody. And I just want to steal a couple of minutes before we get right into the topic of today, just to give you some details about Peabody and the work that we do at the Peabody Community Foundation. So as you may or may not know, Peabody is one of the oldest and largest housing association in London. We're responsible for over 70,000 homes, and we also have over 17,000 care and support customers, as well as over 130,000 residents. We're about to go through a merger with another large housing association named Catalyst, so these numbers are about to become even bigger. Peabody also has a charity arm called Peabody Community Foundation. I personally work for the foundation, and my team is called the Economic Inclusion Team. As the name suggests, the Peabody Community Foundation really works with and for our communities of residents and local people. And our vision and our mission is to help build communities that are healthier, wealthier, and happier. How do we do this? The answer is in multiple and various ways. But just to give you some examples, we create and promote free training opportunities for people to learn new skill, upskill, and consequently access better jobs or earn more money. We also support residents that want to start a business or become self-employed. And we have dedicated colleagues that help Peabody residents with employment, providing them support and matching them with employment and apprenticeship opportunities. And these are just some examples. The Peabody Hot Topic sessions, as you can imagine, are part of our training offer. So what we did is we've identified key topics, growth sectors, and emerging careers. And through these free and open to anyone online sessions, we want to give you some introductory information and knowledge on these sectors and how to access these pathways. So that's it from me. I just want to say at the end, once again, thank you so much for our guest speakers of today. Thank you to Ian and his team from Think Events for, facilitating these sessions and helping us with everything. And thank you to everyone that, spent a couple of minutes registering on Eventbrite and attending today. I hope you'll find it useful and beneficial. I'll pass it over to you, Ian.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Nadia. For those who've just joined us, welcome. Again, Nadia, working with Nadia on these things, on these hot topics is amazing. The training that they provide, the love and the support they give is really important. So I do stress that you all kind of either email Nadia, talk to the team. If there's anything you need, please talk to them, because they are there on hand to help. If they don't have the answers, they will find the answers for you. So please get in touch with Nadia. Okay. We have, like I say, a series of speakers today. We have Sarah Bowman, who is Head of Partnerships at the Prince's Trust, and we also have Dave Black, who's the Assistant Director of Specialist Support at Peabody. Now we're going to switch this around a little bit at the moment. So we are actually going to ask David to speak first, because we're still waiting for Sarah to come along. So David, sorry, I know I'm just throwing this at you. But Dave, as I said, is Assistant Director of Specialist Support in Care and Support in the Housing Department, and is currently responsible for services such as mental health, homeless, care, and young people. So, Dave, over to you.
Okay, I'm just trying to share my screen. Is that sharing all right?
Perfect. Oh, hold on. You shared it, have you?
Oh, I thought I had. Did I not? Shall I try that again?
Still looking at your lovely face, Dave. There you go.
Yeah. Oh. Lovely. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction there, Ian. So I'm Dave Black. I'm Assistant Director for Specialist Support at Peabody. And Peabody, although it's a large housing association.
Dave, just to stop you. Sorry. That was your Teams screen that we just saw there.
Oh, sorry. Let me try that again. How's that?
Yes.
Perfect.
Right. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm Dave Black. I'm Assistant Director for Specialist Support at Peabody. And as you know, Peabody is a large social landlord with over 70,000 units of accommodation. But alongside that, it's got a large care and supported housing business. And that model is reflected across the country. So although I'm going to talk about this from a Peabody point of view, in terms of careers in adult social care, they are everywhere across the country. Sometimes housing associations providing supported accommodation, sometimes it's charities who maybe don't have that large property portfolio that we do, but this line of work is everywhere. What we try and do in the care and supported housing department, well, it can be summed up really nicely in the phrase to provide services that assist people to live well and as independently as possible. And we work with a wide range of client groups, and I'll come on to that. Independently as possible can mean quite different things to quite different people, depending on their ability. So in terms of the kind of size and shape of the department, we've got a turnover of about £60 million a year, so quite a large part of the business. We've got a combination of income streams there. Some of that's rent, so people living in our accommodation have to pay for the accommodation. And then the rest of it's contracts. And those contracts tend to sit with the local authorities. So generally speaking, it's the local authorities who purchase care and support services from us. We get some income from health services, but generally speaking, it's the local authorities. We've got quite a lot of units of accommodation, so over 4,000. We don't provide care and support in all of those. Some of those other people provide the care and support. For instance, we're the biggest landlord of Rough Sleepers Initiative accommodation in London, but we don't provide the support to the people in there. That's provided by a separate contract. So when it comes to our contracts, we've got about 173 of them. We've got a huge staff team. We make up about a third of the staff team at Peabody, and then as a department, there's about 1,300 of us. And the majority of those are frontline care and support staff, and I'll come on to their roles in a moment. We work with well over 10,000 customers per annum. I think Nadia gave the figure of 17,000. Now, the reason for that kind of variation is because we have included in that figure some very short-term interventions. So we might run a drop-in centre, for instance, so people may only come and get a bit of advice around housing or welfare benefits. So that can have a really high turnover and can flex quite a bit depending on demand. In terms of geography, we work across Essex, London and Sussex. We're about to merge with another company called Catalyst, and that will involve working in Hertfordshire and some other areas as well. So moving on to the types of role that we have within the care and support department, there are two very distinct roles. You've got care work and you've got support work, and they have big variations within them, but they are the easiest way to see the staff team, if you like. So care work, that involves quite a lot of fun is one of the things I would say. It's very It's how I started out my career, and it's very enjoyable. But it does also involve helping people with their personal care needs, and that can be anything. That depends on people's ability. So I put getting up and getting dressed there. Now, some people that may just be prompting them to get up and get dressed. Other people are so disabled it may involve hoisting them out of bed and actually putting clothes on them. It can involve quite intimate tasks around personal hygiene, so that could be bathing, or it could be help with continence, and that involves having to really respect people's dignity and deliver that type of thing in the nicest way possible, and it takes quite a lot of skill to do that. There are other things that we need to help people with, like medication administration. Now, we're not a nursing or health-led body, so when we administer medication, it's on the instruction of a pharmacist or a GP, and it's the person themselves that's unable to follow those instructions because they're disabled in that way. Really important to providing care is giving people as much choice as possible and trying to minimize any restrictions in their life. So give you an example, you may have someone that doesn't realize eating raw chicken out the fridge could be very, very dangerous. And you might think the solution to that is to put a lock on the fridge door, but you need to really carefully consider whether or not that's a balanced approach, and whether or not it's the right approach. Trying to make sure you minimize restrictions on people's lives is a big part of care work. And finally, that bit of care work is regulated by the Care Quality Commission, so they come in regularly and check what we're doing, and give us a grading which is made public. I'm pleased to say most of ours are very, very good, but they have a set of standards that you need to be able to work to, and that I'll come on to that when I start talking about training in a moment. So the other sort of work we've got is support work. Now, there is overlap between those two things, but broadly speaking, support work does not, well, it definitely doesn't involve personal care. It's more things like helping people maintain a tenancy, so that could be working with utility companies, it can be budgeting. If they've got medication needs, then we would be prompting and asking, reminding people to take medication rather than administering it. It can be liaison with other professionals like community psychiatric nurses. Most of our accommodation-based support work, the accommodation is time limited, so it's either quite short-term hostels or it can be anything up to a couple of years. But broadly speaking, when you're working with people, you're looking at them moving on to some more independent accommodation, and that can take many forms. But you start to look at people's next move quite quickly. It can be working with people around welfare benefits. For those that are sort of becoming quite independent, it can be trying to get them into training and employment. So just I'll briefly run through the sort of service areas that we work in and the client groups. So adults with disabilities, of learning disabilities is at the top here, and about 50% of the care and support department is based around working with people with learning disabilities. We have some autism services and acquired brain injury services, and some physical and sensory disability services. Broadly speaking, our work is in the world of learning disabilities. We have some mental health and complex needs services, so that's supported accommodation for people that might be coming out of psychiatric care or suffering in their independent accommodation and need staff around, need help and support. Sometimes it's more complex than just mental health. There may be substance misuse issues and things like that as well. But a kind of standard model would be someone coming out of psychiatric care and needing support to live independently in the community. We have a number of older people services. Now, we don't generally provide the care in these. We have one or two examples where we do, but broadly speaking, we manage the accommodation and we provide support, but not care. And other organisations come in and provide the care, and that's in kind of extra care environments and sheltered housing environments. We have a number of transitional services across Essex and London, so that's working with young people, so that or homeless families, some refugees as well, and some homelessness hostels. So to give you an idea of that type of work, you might have a young person who's maybe come up through the care system and isn't quite able to live independently yet, or where there's been a family breakdown, but they're too young to live in the community. So you're talking about people between ages of about 16 and their early 20s. And we would work with them to try and build up their skills to live independently and then look at their move on options. And then finally, we've got community services, which is generally speaking out there visiting people in the community. not always our own tenants. Frequently that's kind of tenure blind service. So we've got a big visiting support service in Essex where anybody in the community can benefit from it. Generally, we get involved where people are at risk of homelessness or becoming homeless to try and prevent that from happening. And we run sort of drop-ins and advice services around that as well. And we do a bit of hospital discharge work. So that's where people cannot be safely discharged from hospital. It may be because their accommodation has become unsuitable. They might have had a medical episode and not be able to access their normal accommodation. We also work with people who are fleeing domestic violence and gang-related violence and who cannot go back to their normal community because it would be unsafe. So we take them at the point of hospital discharge and we work with them to find alternative accommodation. I'll not run through all the different types of service that we've got in too much detail, but broadly speaking, I've covered quite a bit of it, but we've got supported housing, where we own the property, and we've got supported living, which is almost the same, but we don't always own the property, so we're going into someone else's home, basically, and providing support. We have a few registered care homes, and we have, I've already said, we've got quite a lot of sheltered housing and extra care. So moving on to the roles, I think the first thing to say is that full training is provided. We have a number of entry-level roles and we make sure that people are trained up into them before they start. There are some services where we would not take someone who hadn't had some experience. So although it's an entry-level role, a complex need mental health service really requires someone that's worked in care and support for a while and have some experience before they can work in it. For the care part of the business, there is a standard called the care certificate, and we train everybody up into that. We pay for all the training, and any time required off the job to do training, we pay for that as well. Although most of the care certificate, it should be said, is actually done as on-the-job learning. We've got a number of different contracts. We've got full-time, part-time, and we've also got bank relief staff. So that's we have like 200 people that are on 0-hour contracts by choice. There's plenty of permanent jobs if people want them, but actually we've got a very valued part of the workforce, many of whom are students, or they've got their own startup company and they're just looking for a steady income stream to work around that. The way that works is basically we text out and say these shifts need covered, and if you want to do them, you say yes, and if you don't want to do them, you don't need to do them. So it's quite a nice way for people to kind of enter into this line of work and sort of test the water without sort of jumping straight into a permanent job. I should point out most of what we do is shift work. So most of the accommodation services that we run are 24-hour services, and people would be expected to do early shifts and late shifts. We have some night shifts and quite a few services, but we tend to use dedicated night staff rather than asking people to work days and nights. The community services, the visiting support services that I mentioned earlier, they're generally Monday to Friday with a little bit of overlap. Quite a few of our services involve sleep-in shifts rather than waking nights, and that may sound a bit odd, sort of sleeping in at work, but what it does do, I mean, we've got a lot of people who do 2 sleep-in shifts a week, which can add a good sort of £6,000 to people's income. So we pay well above the market average for sleep-in shifts, and actually find people want to do them because we do that and earn quite a bit extra money doing it. It's not the best paid job in the world. I'm not going to pretend it is. The entry-level jobs are currently real living wage or slightly above it. But what I would say is that there's excellent career prospects within this industry. I started out as a care assistant in Glasgow many years ago, too many to remember, and just climbed the career ladder, and that is available for everybody. So we did at one point of apprenticeships as an entry level into the business, but actually what we've done is actually started doing apprenticeships for current employees so that they can climb the career ladder. We already offer a full training package for anybody that joins, so it felt a little bit, why are we calling it an apprenticeship when the same offer's there for everybody? So we have done an apprenticeship programme within the existing workforce to help with career progression. I've got a list of employee benefits here, but I'm not going to run through them all because I believe the slide pack is going to be sent out afterwards, and you can have a look at that. These are also available on our website, but we have got really quite nice terms and conditions. Got a flexible benefits package, for instance, which I spent mine last year on Curry's vouchers. We regularly reward people with spot bonuses where we see good performance. And I think I have to really sort of point out that the opportunities to climb the career ladder within Peabody are really, really very good within this industry. There's just a list of our current vacancies. That's not an exhaustive list. As I said before, we've got a department of about 1,300 people. So we have a turnover, we've got a vacancy rate, and if you go onto our website, you'll see them all. But this slide gives you an example of what's currently available, and it is just an example. There are more posts on there. There are managerial posts on there for people that have got a background in this line of work. If you don't have a background in it, it will give you an idea of the opportunities that are regularly available once you have a bit of experience. And when the pack gets sent out, the link at the bottom will take you straight to our care and support career pages, and you can take it from there. You can apply online. So that's it from me, I think.
Wow, brilliant. Dave, thank you so much for that. That was so insightful. It was so much involved, and also it's kind of a bit of a minefield in what you do, really. But it's great because the passion is there. We see that you love your work, and it's good that, you know, you're talking about it being fun and it being, you know, you want to fulfill people's lives. You want to make sure that they're happy. But there is so much there. And the great part which I ticked from is, you know, Peabody's doing paid for training for you. You can go out there, they're paid for your training. Get out there. So Dave, thank you very much. I know Dave's presentations and any other bits and pieces that Dave's talked about, Nadia will send the information out to you later on, but as we say, we'll save all of our questions to the Q&A afterwards. We're going to get these speakers in, and then we can have a good old chat and good old questions and afters afterwards. So Dave, once again, thank you very much. And I'm looking over there because my screen's here, but I know you're there, but there you go. So who we have next is Nia Davis, who is going to talk to us from the Prince's Trust Health and Social Care Programme. So now I'm going to hand over to you because I don't know anything more about you, but but right now you can explain to the panel what's going on. Alrighty, thank you, Nia.
Yes, so as Ian said, my name's Nia. I'm from the Prince's Trust. So my job is I lead on a variety of programmes that support people to find employment in the NHS and social care. I'm just going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Brilliant, excellent. Great, thank you. So for those of you who don't know anything about us, we are a youth charity, and we run lots of programmes for young people aged 11 to 30, from anything such as personal development to starting your own business, to education programmes, as well as employability programmes. So obviously I work in the employability bit. So we have lots and lots of different employers that we work with who are really open to supporting young people who maybe don't have a lot of experience or have much of a CV into work, and then we do all the employability stuff. So we help you with your CV and your interview techniques and things like that, and just helping to build your confidence so that you can find a job. If you're still unsure about what it is that you want to do, then we have programs that can help you explore a variety of different sectors so that you can kind of find your way in life. So we have programs that run for 1 day, we have programs that run for 3 months. They're all completely free, and they don't accept your don't affect your job seekers allowance. We also offer things like for our face-to-face programs, which we are running a few more now. We do offer your travel money back so that you can get to and from us, and then we also offer lunch and things like that as well. And we run programs in all different types of sectors as well, like all across the board. Obviously, I'm here today to talk to you about health and social care specifically. We also offer grants. So if you do get a job, then anything financial that will stop you from doing that job, such as traveling to work for the first month before you get paid, or having to buy a uniform, or needing a DBS, or if you don't have a driving license that you might need to do that DBS, we can get you that. So we'll pay for all of that for you as well. So the programs that we run for health and social care, we have 3 different opportunities. Our first one is Get Into. So for anyone who maybe has no work experience and needs just a little bit more support, these are a bit longer. Sometimes they include a work placement. So you might do 2 weeks of learning and then 1 week of work experience, or 3 weeks of learning And depending on the program, you might get a bit of a qualification. So a typical Get Into program for us looks like a Get Into healthcare. So it would be with one of our NHS trusts based in London, and you we could get a job as a healthcare assistant at the end. But during those 3 weeks, you work towards your care certificate, which is something that you need to do that job. And then we have other ones that maybe are a bit longer for jobs that need a bit more training. So you can get all different kinds of qualifications or experience with those as well. And then the second program we have is called Get Started. So this is a shorter program, and it's more suited for people who maybe have a bit more experience or a bit more confident, but it's just those employability skills that you really need support with. So typically around 3 days. We do 1 day of sector-based stuff, so you can learn a bit more about the roles available and kind of the progression routes and things like that. The second day is all about uncovering your skills and your values, how to present these to an employer. We do mock interview practice, work on your CV, work on applications, anything like that. And there's typically kind of 5 to 10 different employers then on the third day who you can come in and have an actual interview with, up to 3 of them. So we put you in the driver's seat, you can pick 3 employers to have an interview with, and hopefully at the end get a job. And for that one, it can either be quite general, where there's lots of different jobs, or it might be more specific, like get started in social care, or get started in lab work, or whatever it is we've got going on at the time. But we work with lots of different NHS employers across London, as well as other kind of healthcare organisations. And then we also have a mentoring scheme as well. So if you're looking for something that we don't have a program in, or if you just want a bit of extra support after program, we can get you a mentor who has worked in health and social care at some point, and who can you can meet with for 6 months to a year to help you not only get into work, so you set goals with them around what you need, whether it's working on your interview skills or working on applications. And then you can have an extra 6 months then when you are in work, so that you can settle in, and if you have any issues or anything, they can help you overcome those. But it's there to kind of help you really sustain that job and get the most out of it. And you know, if you're looking to progress as well, then having a mentor can help you do that as well. So that's the other thing we've got. And then development awards is the grants that I just mentioned about, so we give you that financial support as well. And here are some of the jobs that we have kind of worked with previously, so a kind of really wide range. It's not just those frontline clinical roles. I mean, healthcare assistants are probably the most common, which if you don't know, a healthcare assistant is someone who supports nurses. So if you were looking to be a nurse or a midwife one day, then it's a really good foot in the door, because you go in, you're still working with patients, you're working closely with the medical staff, you will have some experience in you know, dealing with medications and things like that, but you don't need any qualifications to do that role. For some trusts, they want you to have like a certain level of English and maths, but that's something again that we can support you with, because we do have a learning team who can support you with that as well, and make sure that you're up to speed with those. But healthcare assistant is a very, very good way into the NHS if you do want to do something like nursing. And the best thing about these kind of roles is that the NHS will really support you to get more qualifications as well. So if there is a particular route you want to go through, and we go through all this in program, like the different career paths that you can go on, yeah, they're really great. They'll help you with those. You can do an apprenticeship, you can do a nursing degree on the side of it over a period of years to help you build up to that. And then there's things like working in the lab, admin. We have a lot of admin jobs coming through as well if you want to do something a bit more office-based. Estates and facilities, which is things like security or portering or things like that. Customer service, so maybe working on the reception in a hospital or at a GP. Lots of different things available within the trust. Oh. I'm going to play a video now. I hope it works. If you can't hear it, then just give me a shout and we'll skip it. But this is just the experience of one of the young people that we've supported into a job at the NHS.
I can't hear it, Mia.
Oh, okay, that's a shame. I don't know how to make that work. Okay, I'll send it around as a link afterwards and you can watch it in your own time.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. That'd be brilliant.
And here's just a quote from one of the young people that we have supported, Humera, who started working in an NHS trust through one of our programmes. So like I said, we've got these 3 different programs. We run multiple programs every month. So we run at least one Get Started and one Get Into every month. We try and have jobs all over London so they're really accessible to everyone. We have jobs from all different kinds of sectors within health and social care as well. We can send around some information afterwards on how to kind of keep an eye on this. If you want to sign up to one of our mailing lists, to just keep an eye on what programs we've got coming up, then I can send that around as well with the video. But like I said, for these particular programs, we work typically with 18 to 30s, just because a lot of trusts won't hire 16, 17-year-olds, but we also have opportunities for Kickstart and apprenticeships as well, which are available to 16 and 17-year-olds. So yeah, and there's not really any eligibility criteria for these programs as well. You're within the age range, and if you can come to every single day of the program, then the program's open to you. So we have an Eventbrite, and we have all our programs on. So you'd sign up to the program link. You would get a call from one of my team, and they would just go through the program with you and make sure that it's something that you're ready for. And then you would be then invited along to the program to take part. So we're currently running a mixture of kind of online and face-to-face. So some of our programs we're doing on Zoom, so we'll just send you a link and you just need to be able to access that. And we're also kind of trying to go back to face-to-face now. So we do have some where you can come into our centres or one of our offices to then do that face-to-face, which is fun. And that's the end for me. So I'll hand back over to Ian and I'll answer any questions you have in a bit.
Wow, brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Again, there's so much information there. There's so much opportunities there for people to get involved with. I know people sometimes go, I don't know where to look, I don't know what to do, but actually you're hearing it here first, that there is a lot of opportunities out there, you know, through Peabody and the Princess Trust. And there's a wide amount of jobs that you can go into, but it's about having that contact and talking to these people. So between, you know, Nadia, Dave, Mia, you have these people here. You need to talk to them and see what you can get and see what training you can go for as well. So, okay, we've now heard from our speakers. Thank you all both very, very much. And what we're going to do now is move on to our questions and answer session. So as I said, for those who missed the beginning part, if you want to ask a question, you can either put it in chat, or I will open it up now to people. If you want to ask a question, either put your hand up if you know how to do that. If you don't, do a little unmute, ask your question, and we will direct them to our panelists. I do have a couple of questions as well that people have sent in already to me, so I can look at those as well, but I want to open it up to you first. So the first hand that I can see is Mary. So Mary, would you like to ask your question?
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Actually, this is my first time of joining this program. I never knew about it. Thank you.
You are welcome, Mary. You are welcome.
Thank you. So I've been wanting to become a nurse for a very long time. Anyway, I'm not young. I'm 51. And I tried the college, but I have to do maths and English, functional skills. To be honest, that is giving me a lot of stress. And because of the lockdown, I had to do it online, but I couldn't really focus because it was very stressful for me. So I would love the face-to-face learning. Now, I just applied for the maths and English functional skills, which I've not started yet. But what I want to ask is about the Princess Trust. If I, at this age, 50, 51, what advice will I get, you know, taking that channel to becoming a nurse or basically phlebotomist? At the moment, I work at Tesco as a customer assistant, and I want a change of career because I feel like I'm not fulfilled thinking of being a nurse for a very long time. And there is an opportunity for me, and I would like to ask about their programs, if they can help me with my maths and English, you know, as a stepping stone, and maybe the healthcare assistant, if I can get a volunteer, or I don't even mind, you know, just something to put me in that setting, for us to start.
Brilliant. Okay, Mary, you're still young. All right, Mary, you're still young. Don't you worry about that 51 nonsense. Okay. I think we will hand that over to Mia. Is that over to you?
Yeah, I can answer that. I mean, for our programs, we are a youth charity, so we only go up to the age of 30. But I can recommend, if you look up Capital City College Training, because we actually run some of our programs with them, but they run their own programs, and they don't have an age range. I'll pop that in the chat so you can see it. But I know that they're a bit more open, and they run very similar. Well, it's their content that we use for our Get Into program. So yeah, I would definitely recommend looking them up, and I'll pop that in the chat for you so you can look at that.
Brilliant. Dave, is there anything you would like to add to that at all?
Sorry, I was in the middle of typing an answer to Cindy earlier about vaccinations, but yeah, I mean, from our point of view, from a care and support point of view, we have plenty of entry-level jobs. Just go on the website, you can look at what's there, and you can apply on the website. And in terms of training, we can absolutely provide training. A lot of that's actually coaching when you're in the job. I mean, you mentioned you would like face-to-face training. We do currently have quite a lot of e-learning as part of the induction process, but once you've completed that e-learning, it becomes coaching with your manager on the job, and it's much more interactive. In fact, most of the care certificate, if it was care work you choose to do, is observations and coaching in the workplace. And equally, if you want to progress your career, that's an apprenticeship program, which does involve, I think it's about 20% not on the job, so like doing tasks that are sort of different to your day-to-day stuff. But yeah, certainly plenty of opportunities to change career and enter into the job market here.
Brilliant, fantastic. Mary, I hope that answers your question, but please do get in contact with either Dave and Mia, or send it straight through to Nadia or anyone at Peabody, so we can kind of get you the help and the advice and the training that you need. Okay, Mary? I'm going to take that as yes. Okay, is there anyone else that wants to ask a question to the team? You can unmute yourself and then ask the question. Right, if you can say your name.
My name's Cindy.
Brilliant, okay.
Yeah, I know Dave's answering my question that I've typed in. The reason I asked is because I'm hearing that, in social care, health and social care, if you don't get jabbed, you don't get a job, basically. Is that the case?
So I'm happy to answer that, Cindy. So the government has brought in some legislation which makes it a requirement in registered care homes. Now, that's a very specific type of care environment, and we at Peabody only have 3 of those, and we'll shortly only have 2 of them, actually. So it is a requirement there. Now, there is proposed legislation to make it a requirement across all care services to have had 2 vaccinations. There are different arrangements for people just entering into new jobs, but basically the existing workforce may well have to have had 2 vaccinations, and that legislation was actually due to be passed by Parliament last week, but it's been held up a little bit, and I'm not exactly sure why. Once it's passed, there'll be a 12-week lead-in period, so anybody who's not currently vaccinated will have enough time to have both first and second. We'll have enough time to have both the first and second vaccines. But yeah, I mean, I think it is likely to be a requirement in care. Now, I did in my presentation talk about the distinction between care and support. There's currently no plans that I'm aware of for the government to bring in similar legislation for the supported housing sector. So it is just the care part of the business where it's likely to be a requirement. We expect Parliament will pass it, but I'm not sure what the current delays are.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes.
Excellent.
It's just that I know there's bound to be lots of people interested in going into care or supports, but if that is a barrier, what do we do? Even if you're sort of not working directly with your clients, what else could we do?
I mean, do you mean in terms of other jobs that are available? Is that what
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we've got, I mean, if you look on our website, you'll see a number of vacancies. We've got housing management positions, we've got support positions, we've got administrative positions, we've got a lot of other opportunities that aren't care work. So there are, I mean, yeah, by all means apply for those. Even in Peabody as a wider organisation just outside of the care and support business, we have a lot of opportunities like that. There's not a lot we as an organisation can do about the government passing laws. We just need to abide by them. So when it comes to the issue with mandatory vaccines, it's not something that we have a choice in, unfortunately. So anybody that doesn't want the vaccine, we would need to look at trying to redeploy them. But there is a potential for that to be a barrier. Yeah, I'm concerned about it. I'm not put my heart on my sleeve here. I'm not particularly in favour of the legislation, but it's there, and we just have to work with it.
Okay.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
Okay,
can I ask one more question? And what about
if it's a quick one? If it's a quick one, Cindy, we've got other ones as well. All
yeah,
right.
Peabody as a whole, are they looking to include that as part of the contract, you know, for working with them?
Yeah, we don't have a choice. If it becomes law, we have to abide by the law. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you both. We've got a couple of more questions. Queenie, would you like to answer your question? I know your volume's not great, but you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Queenie, no? No? All right. I know you've put it in chat, so I'm going to read from chat. Queenie's question is, I'm 63 years old and I have a BSc degree in health and social care from Sunderland University, and I've been working for a year now as living cancer because of the COVID from 2020. I would like to apply for a managerial post in healthcare sector, but finding this quite difficult. Can I get support from the Princess Trust?
Hi, Queenie. I'm afraid not. I'm really sorry. We do only go up to 30. We're a youth charity, and that's like for funding reasons as well. So we don't have the funding to work with anyone over 30. So I'm really sorry about that. I would suggest CCT again, but that's usually for kind of entry level roles. So I'm not sure if that's quite the level that you're at. I'm not sure if anyone else has got any recommendations there.
Yeah, I don't know. Dave, is there anything that you can recommend for Queenie at all?
Yeah, I've just put it in the chat that actually we have some managerial vacancies at the moment at Peabody. So yeah, I mean, by all means, go for it. I mean, it's a competitive process, no guarantees, but we'd love to hear from you if you're interested.
Brilliant. There you go, Queenie. Hope that answers your question. Get in contact. You know, and who knows? We've got another question from C. Francis. Everyone likes putting their age in these chats. It's amazing. Hi, I'm a 31 years old next month, and will it be starting to gain support? To gain support. I take it was in the sector. So C. Francis, 31 years of age.
Yes. Okay. Hi there. Like I said, we only go up to 30, but we do have some programs coming up. We've got a program coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you're available for that, then we can get you in just in time for that one. And you have to be on the program before you turn 31, but we can continue to support you into that job even once you've turned 31. So again, I'll send some details around about our next program to Peabody, and they can share that with you. And then so if you can get into the one, it's on. It starts next Friday.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I thought I'd try and race my way through before the 31 comes along.
That's good.
Thank you.
Great.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much. Is there any more questions out here? Please just unmute yourself, say who you are, and ask your questions. If not, I would read one of the questions that I've got going. Anybody? No? Okay. Okay, so I've got a couple of questions here. And one is, a lot of the sectors have introduced working from home and have made it the new norm. How do you see any possibilities for more flexible working in health and social care? Who would like to take that?
I missed that. I'm afraid I had a few issues with my audio for a moment there. Can you maybe just summarize it again for me, please?
Yeah. So basically, the sectors are saying working from home is the new norm. What is the possibility of the flexibility of working in the health and care sectors?
So it depends on the role a lot. I mean, from our point of view, a lot of adult social care involves actually being in the workplace and providing care and support to an individual. But we have some of our community roles, so some of our what we call floating support, where we assist people in the community. Some of that can be done by telephone. In fact, throughout COVID, we've supported huge numbers of people, but by sort of using things like Zoom and Teams and telephone conversations. So there are some roles that can work from home, but not all of them. So you'd need to be very careful with which role you kind of picked if that was something that you wanted. Generally speaking, as a sector, we're very flexible around hours and part-time working and things like that. And some of the bank vacancies that we've got allow you to pick and choose what shifts you do. And you can look at whether or not any of those services support working from home.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. There's also another question here, which is talking about, I'm going to summarize these really, which is talking about the sector and salaries, and how salaries are quite unfair, and what are the other benefits that these jobs can offer to kind of boost up their salaries.
So, do you want to go, Naya?
I was just going to say that we're seeing a bit of a pattern now where a lot of social care providers are really aware of the fact that they're not paying a very good wage, and obviously it's very competitive at the moment. I think we've lost a lot of workers over the last couple of years because of many reasons, which we won't go into right now. I think that a lot of them are really realising that they need to make a change. So like a couple of the employers that we're working with are now offering London Living Wage. We have a programme coming up, Get Into Social Care, in February. Again, it's for 18 to 30-year-olds. One of the employers are working with on that one, they're called Jewish Care, and they're based in North London, and they are now offering London Living Wage. So yeah, I think it is a problem, but it seems like people are waking up now and realising they can no longer sort of offer those low wages. So yeah, if you're interested in social care, it's good to have a look around and see what different companies are offering.
Brilliant. Dave, do you want to add in as well?
Yeah, absolutely. From Peabody's point of view, we are a real living wage employer, so we pay the real living wage or the London Living Wage, depending on whether you're inside or outside of London. Excuse me. Our hands are a little bit tied on this because we are funded by local authorities, and local authorities don't have a lot of money and try and buy everything at as cheap a rate as they possibly can through a competitive process. And we can't obviously run services that are loss-making, but we do pass on as much as we can to the frontline employee. I think one of the advantages of a company like Peabody is we do have things like spot bonuses. We've been able to give annual bonuses. We can't guarantee that, but we've been able to do that. You can up your income by doing sleep-in shifts or additional hours. I know that's not always attractive to people to work more hours, but it is a way of actually increasing income. We make sure that we pay people for any travel they have to do at work. We have long service awards. We have quite a competitive annual leave, sick leave and pensions package. I think Naya's right. There are a range of different providers out there, but we do everything we can to make sure that we reward people properly for what they do. But we are limited by our funding from local authorities.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for that. I hope that answers the questions. We've got time for 2 more questions. I've got one here that someone's burning to talk about, and there's one in the chat as well. But we do want you to come and ask questions, so you can unmute yourself and ask a question. So if you'd like to do that now, anybody out there that wants to ask a question, please do so. No? All right. Let me just read this other question out.
Yeah.
Go on.
Sorry, I just want to ask.
Could you just say your name as well, please? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. My name is Mary. Mary again.
Oh, okay, Mary. Hello, Mary.
Yeah, I just want to ask. Sorry, I didn't get it. Is it Mia from Princess Trust?
Yeah.
Yes. Why do you have age limit? I can't go beyond the 30. Is there any particular reason for that?
It's just the way that we're a charity, and it was that was set up to help young people. So we're a youth charity. That's what we're categorized as, and we get funding from places that work to help young people. We've been running for 45 years, and we've always been a youth charity.
But is it something that you guys have to consider, because now it's like, because of the pandemic, a lot of people have to get back to work. Somebody like me, like I said, I'm 50 and I'm interested in doing, but I've not really had the opportunity, to do that. So maybe if I can look into expanding to the age limit,
I think there are lots of different organisations that support people into work that kind of go target different categories. Some might only help people from certain backgrounds or who have like disabilities, and some help people with different age ranges. So we obviously just focus on young people, but there are definitely lots of other organisations out there that might be able to support people from other backgrounds as well.
Absolutely. And I think, Mary, also, Peabody, you have Dave here, there's lots of other channels that you can go through. And I think it's worth, again, talking to Peabody about it, and seeing where they can kind of, point you into the right direction, or help you with their own platforms that they have as well. So definitely talk to Peabody.
Okay. Are we going to get more information from Peabody?
Absolutely, Mary. Nadia is going to be sending out to all of the people on this call some information. So don't worry, we won't miss you out for sure.
Okay.
All right. If not, come back to me, Mary. Okay. No, you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. Okay. I've got another question here, which is I'm new to the sector, and I'm interested to know what a typical day looks like in this sector. So who wants to take that? Not you, Mary. Who wants to take that one?
So I take that.
Brilliant. Okay, Dave.
Well, we have a broad range of services. A typical day might involve coming in for an early shift in the care environment. That can involve sort of helping customers to prepare breakfast, helping them get out and about, get dressed. It should be done with as much joy as possible, as if that's the right thing to say, because actually these are people's homes that we're in, and we need to respect their dignity, and we need to help them enjoy life as much as possible. It could involve help with sort of bathing or getting dressed and things like that. Some people go out to day centres during the day, so you might have to take them there, or you might have to go out for the day and sort of go for a walk around the park and go and sit in a cafe and essentially help people to access the community. Now there's a range of different needs there. I mean, we've got some people who need almost two people with them all the time, because they if you were out in the community, they might run out in front of a car or something. So you need to be very closely watching what that individual's doing, and working very closely with your colleagues to make sure that you're keeping people safe. In the support world, it can look a bit different. People are a bit more independent in the support world, and it might be that you are reminding people to take their medication, and then you might be assisting them with a job application. You might be assisting them to talk to utilities companies about getting things set up. You may be working with people to engage with other professionals like GPs and psychiatric nurses and things like that. So a very, very different field depending on the type of service that you're in. A young people's service feels very different from a mental health service, feels very different from a learning disability care world. Once you're kind of in the door, you can actually start to work in these different environments and put the feelers out and actually find one that you do. I mean, a lot of people come into our business by coming in through the bank route, the very flexible working route, and that gives them the opportunity to try out different services. And more often than not, people settle into one, either still on a flexible contract or they take a permanent role in one of those services. I think it's a very good way of testing the water and finding out what you like.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dave. I know there's a question in the chat from Fatia about, you've got a master's degree, you want to change into the career, switch your career into health, and how can you proceed with training and admin? I think it's best, again, this is something, if you talk to Peabody, speak to Dave and his colleagues, that's your route in that way. So all of this information here will be sent out to you. So please wait for them. It will come from Nadia and the Peabody team. But we're going to kind of wrap things up there because we do want to keep to time. I mean, I think this has been an absolutely amazing session. Lots of questions, some really good speakers, and it's kind of helped put things into a little bit of perspective. And that is basically to say that there is still a lot of opportunities out there for everybody. Doesn't matter about your age, there is opportunities out there for everybody. And I think, you know, you have this opportunity here today to grasp some of those, and for people that you know and other people, your neighbors and colleagues and whatever. So get in contact, really work Peabody and the team and the staff there to kind of get what you need out of it. There's lots of free training, you know, and that's important. So please join the Peabody family and really get involved. I'm going to hand over for the last minute over to Nadia to kind of just square things up and away. And our next session, am I stealing this away from you, Nadia? The next session will be about money management. Nadia.
Thank you. And thank you, Dave. Thank you, Nia. And thank you, everyone, for all your questions that came through. The next session is on the 2nd of February. It's, again, a Wednesday, and we'll be talking about money management. I just want to reiterate and reassure everyone, you will receive an email later this week, hopefully by the end of the week, with all the resources and links and information that have been shared today. So our guest speakers' presentations, as well as obviously, Dave mentioned a lot of job opportunities in his department, from entry level to more managerial roles. So please feel free to click on the link and kind of review all the positions, and, you know, don't be afraid to apply, because, you know, as Dave said, as Nia said, there's so many opportunities in this sector. So almost like a job for everyone. So don't be shy and kind of apply. And I know that a lot of people obviously are over 30 on this call, and Nia and the Princess Trust can only support people up to 30. Thank you, Nia, for the suggestion about the other training organization, Capital City College. We'll add that into the email, and I will share any other training organizations and providers that can help people to get trained into this sector and perhaps don't have the, you know, age restriction. So I hope that the content that was, you know, shared today and will be followed up in the email that I will send can help almost everyone. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the day, and hopefully we'll see you at the next Hot Topic session.